Ciao, tutti, everyone. Just going to check I'm live on Facebook as well. Ciao, tutti, as they say in Italy, I believe, if I've pronounced that right. I know I only support Italy in Herzegovina for the football, but anyway, it's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video, and welcome to part 2 of. It's already nearly midnight, and I'm only on part 2 of my plans for, or my thoughts on Italy versus Bosnia and how I hope Italy will play. So my brain's just trying to still stay awake. I'm thinking I've got a lot of plans I want to work on tomorrow, hopefully all being well. To go through all my paperwork, but anyway, nice life story. I know you don't need to know all that, but anyway, this is part 2, as I say, and these are pointers number 11 to 20. I thought I'd do it in list form. I know I could have done it a bit differently, but I thought I'd do it in list form as I normally do, because I thought that's the easier way for me to organise my thoughts. So I hope you enjoy my mad ideas, and as ever, I'd love to know your suggestions, in this case, on how Italy could play, or should play, or whatever. And here goes. So number 11, I hope that Italy will be flexible, and like if things, heaven forbid, aren't going so well, to keep fighting till the end. But also, I give up quite a lot of times, and I gave up quite a lot this month. Unfortunately, I sort of gave up on things. If I wasn't so honest and open about it, I suppose people wouldn't need to know necessarily. But yeah, I hope that that Italy's flexible enough to change the plan. So, for instance, if a certain strategy or tactic is not working, then hopefully we will be able to be flexible and versatile enough, or whatever the difference is, to make changes and to improve. I know I often think about how Italian football could improve, but yeah, hopefully we can make those changes. So we can make those changes to improve. Number 12, as I say, I hope that Italy will keep going till the end. If we have to play for, if the game goes on for 90 minutes, extra time, 90 minutes, sorry, injury time. Obviously we're going to have to play injury time, but I mean extra time, for those who know how football works, extra time, penalties, and all that kind of thing, to keep going, and whilst at the same time being flexible. I guess having that balance of like trying to play a certain strategy as well. I suppose it's a difficult balance to get right, perhaps being organised and structured and sort of sticking to a system, but then perhaps being able to change that system if it doesn't work. Similar with my own plans, like when I try and do writing or try and do certain things, and I kind of want to be, I'd love to be spontaneous, but then I get frustrated because I like things to be just so, and when things don't work out in a certain way, I guess I need to be more flexible on that, but also have a bit of a plan, I guess. And sometimes that plan might have to go out the window, and you might have to try plan B or even C or whatever, and try out different things to see which works. I definitely think the game plan should be like to try to avoid mistakes, obviously, which is probably goes without saying, but I think Italy perhaps waits for the opposition to come on to us too much, whereas like that counter-attacking play probably doesn't really work anymore. Like former teams, it doesn't really help to win. I think the teams that win normally or play on the front foot, and I think why invite that pressure? I think Italy should maybe start slow, but especially towards the end of the first half, and in the second half, like especially towards the end of it as well, towards the end of each half, to really push on and again be flexible, but have an organisation and a structure, but be prepared to throw that out the window, so to speak, or at least change it if it's not working, and again have a plan B, hopefully. But yeah, I think that what I meant to say was like I think like if we go backwards, obviously we being Italy, go backwards, being prepared to like making sure if we do pass backwards, to keep possession, that it's only if necessary, if we really need to go backwards. But otherwise, I think we should try and go forwards a lot more. I'd love to see Italian football be more attacking, I guess. But I think it's whatever works. The most important thing is like the result but it would be good to see a good performance and like players play for their shirt and play for their pride and show what they're worth, as I said in part one. But yeah, being flexible, having that organisation and structure, but also being flexible enough to have a plan B if things aren't working. I hope that makes sense. I'd love to know what you think, as ever. I'll say whether you agree with me or not on that. Whether you think I'm being naive or whether you think I make some good points or whatever you think, as ever, especially preferably on topic, is very welcome in the comments, either on Facebook, Andrew, or YouTube. But yeah, I think keep going if necessary to extra time and to penalties if that's necessary. Preferably not. Preferably be finished within the game. Be good for my heart if that was the case, especially if I'm going to get to watch the game. It's on TV. But yeah, I think the goalkeeper should definitely cut out some of those mistakes. Only keep the ball short if we really feel we can keep the ball. Sometimes mix it up a bit as well, going long. And also, I think unless we're really confident, I don't think they should play the ball out the back. But maybe mix it up. Sometimes I think you could still go play the ball out the back and that kind of thing. Yeah, to keep going, and I think I'm going to move on anyway to point. Well, again, having no regrets as well. But I'm going to move on to point number 13. I hope that he doesn't have any regrets, and I normally think of like either selfish things and should call negative, and should call fearful things, which I suppose are negative. I guess my fears are that Italy won't win. I guess that's the biggest fear. Although I know it's only football, first world problem, that kind of thing. But that's probably enough. But yeah, my fear, I guess, is that we won't go through. And then I guess if we do, my fear would be if we can go far, hopefully go to at least be there to win it and try and go out and win it. Otherwise, what's the point? I guess. But hopefully seeing some progression. But also if there's like regrets, like if players don't put 100% in and people think like, oh, you played much better for your club, or you've played much better in the past, why didn't you play for this game, which is one of the most important games in Italy's history. I don't know if I'd say it's the most important, but it's got to be up there with one of the most important for Italian football's pride and that kind of thing. I guess I support Italian football just because I think I look Italian, like I've said before, in the past, and also because I've supported them since I was young, so it's like for nostalgic purposes. And I guess a third reason I could say is that the kit, but that's a very... sorry, that's not the top reason why. It's just because I think I love Italian and I supported them since I was younger. And I guess, again, I like the kit, that's the third reason, but that's right at the bottom. But yeah, in that order, because I think I look Italian, and because I supported them since I was young, and because of the kit, which I think is a pretty cool kit. That sky blue colour might be one of my favourites, but that's probably because I'm an Italian fan. That's why. Also AC Milan's kit and that kind of thing, or the Italian kits generally, the Italian clubs, including the national team. But yeah, my fears are that, I guess, again, the biggest fear, other than people not being safe, would be Italy losing. Again, I suppose there are worse things in life, of course, but Italy losing for a third time in a row, not getting to the World Cup. Also, especially if it's an embarrassing result. Also, if the players don't put in 100% effort, and you think, if only they put in 100% effort, maybe they could have done better. You could think that, and things like, again, getting completely embarrassed. I suppose getting injuries or things like that, or whether Italian football can recover if that's the case, or things like that. I guess those are some of my biggest fears. Losing on penalties, going all that way, and then losing on penalties, making mistakes, not putting 100% effort in. The boys in blue not putting 100% effort in, that kind of thing, playing as well as they do for their clubs, or whatever it might be. Again, regrets, I guess. Would be ending the month on a negative as well, for me, and I'm sure for all Italian football fans. But yeah, those are some of my fears. I can't really think of many off the top of my head. I mean, again, the players not putting 100% effort, missing chances. I know that's not something you can really control necessarily. I think we need to be clinical. Mistakes by the goalkeeper, getting absolutely embarrassed. I guess people not being safe is another fear. Forbid, I hope that the fans will all behave themselves on both sides, preferably. Yeah, missing chances, making silly mistakes, especially in defence, like the goalkeeper making silly mistakes, players losing their confidence and things like that. But it could be a wake-up call if Italy doesn't qualify, because I think wholesale changes would be needed. But moving on, number 14, again, if they make mistakes, I think the players should cover each other. So the teammate or mates make mistakes, I think they should cover each other and not put their head down too much and keep going. And draw on experiences of great Italian teams in the past, perhaps, or things like that, or whatever it could be that sees them through, hopefully. And find and look to see how they can find those solutions. I think of point number 14 solutions, like the number 14, because I think of 13 as negatives, I guess, problems and things like that. I guess number 14, I think of solutions. Number 15, I'd say the main thing is to win the game and hopefully go as far as possible in the World Cup, and hopefully continue to improve. I think they're the main things. I'd love to know from other Italian football fans about what they think. So those are the main goals. I'd love to. I mean, part of me, when I watch football, part of me loves to see nice, fancy football, confident teams playing really good football, silky football, and that kind of thing, like Brazil, Argentina, Spain, teams like that. How they've played over the years in the past, basically. I kind of like to see Italian teams play. I guess the dilemma again is I'd love to ask Italian football fans out there, any who might be watching this video, in the future or whatever, I guess one question would be, what would be your main priority, winning the game or playing good football, fancy football? I think winning the game is most important, but I think fancy football, great football, can actually help to do that, because most of the teams do well, quite attacking. But things can be really annoying. But something else I forgot about. A bit of thought again, sorry. But yeah, sorry, that was it. Should we focus? I'd love to know. Do you think we should focus on playing one sort of system, or maybe mix it up a bit so the opposition thinks we're going to play get the ball out to the wing and then cross it, but then maybe at different times do different things? Well, I suppose it'd be a bit late now, but technically probably more likely. But I think before the game, even if it's not kicking the ball about or running or anything like that, saving energy, I think maybe even having energy drinks or things like that before the game, or bananas or whatever gives energy, resting at the right times and that kind of thing before the game, and also taking it easy at certain times in the game. But I wonder whether Italy should try one certain style, like tiki-taka, as I say, or the high press game, or whatever it might be, or be a bit versatile in terms of so sometimes playing tiki-taka and sometimes closing the opposition when they got the ball, so that the opposition doesn't know what you're going to do, basically. But especially if, I talked before about, if, let's say, you tap your right shoulder, it means you're going to go long, or if you tap your knee, it means you're going to go short, or it means you're going to go wide, or whatever. And it could be changed each game. Obviously, for this game specifically, it would have to be a certain way, so your teammates know what you're going to do, but your opposition might not. But I do wonder whether the boys in blue should stick to a certain style, and the manager should stick to a certain style, or he should give the players a bit more creative freedom, especially the more attacking players. I guess sometimes you have to defend, obviously, and sometimes you can attack, hopefully. But I think also the midfielders coming short to receive the ball, each player giving each other options. As soon as they get the ball, they have 2 or 3 options to pass, or at least one option, so they know pass into some space. So each player perhaps knows their position and knows where each other will be, that kind of thing. But again, maybe doing some sort of simple, where if someone's going to make a run forward, or maybe something a bit more in disguise, so your opposition doesn't know what you're doing. You tap your right shoulder, it means you're going to make a run, but your teammates know what you're going to do again, but your opposition doesn't. But again, maybe trying different styles, trying the Brazilian way of football, and the Spanish and the French. But could that be a bit confusing? I don't know. I guess it's probably not the best time to experiment, because like in friendlies you can try those different tactics when I think about it, but in these games probably not. Number 16, talking about what other Italian football fans think, and similar to what Celtic supporters think. I know I mentioned it before, but I'd love to know, any Italian football fans out there, would you like to be part of helping me to run, or even just be a member of like a Zoom group where we discuss all things Italian football related, or at least discuss football from an Italian fan's point of view, Andrew or Celtic fans' point of view, and even like sometimes agree to disagree, and that kind of thing. So I'd love to know any Italian fans, Andrew or Celtic fans out there. And because I'd love to do like Zoom groups with all possible Italian fans. I think you can get up to 100 on Zoom, and similar with Celtic, but sometimes even both Italian and Celtic supports, like Italian Celts, for instance, but like Milan fans, Inter fans, Roma fans, Lazio fans, even rival fans, obviously, and that kind of thing, basically, to discuss all things Italian football, Antwerp or Celtic related, Antwerp or even football generally. Again, different views, ideas, dreams, or whatever it might be, thoughts on football or whatnot. Again, this month I wish I had done a lot more. But moving on, again, point number 17, talking about the different rivals. I was having to try and remember my train of thought again there. Talking about the different rivals, like before in part one, I wore an Inter cap. AC Milan cap because I'm a mad fan of Italian football generally. I'd love for all the Italian football fans to, I know I said it on Italy's Unification Day, but I'd love for all, again, I might have left this a bit late, but it is what it is, whilst I remember, I'd love for all different Italian fans, like whether that's even Lazio, Roma, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Torino, and all the different Italian teams, let's say even rival teams, as I mentioned there, to all get behind the Azzurri, which I'm sure they will. And I talk about people from the diaspora, so I'm sure I mentioned that a few times. Thinking about the anthem, for instance, and how that talks about how Italy was divided and how they want to come together, and also Italy's Unification Day, which was the 17th of this month, of this very month, 17th of March, obviously. It would be quite fitting for Italy to get through, therefore, in March. But I hope that will be used each year, like Italy's Unification Day, or special occasions in Italy's history, and special occasions on Italian people's calendar, on Italy's calendar. So, like Italy's National Day, Republic Day, or whatever, and connecting with other republics and that kind of thing. But I'll talk about that another time, perhaps. And that's the 2nd of June. Maybe I'll cover things on that, like how they could network with India and France and that kind of thing to play football together and practice together. I'd love to see that as a fan of Italian football, who only supports Italy for football, as I said before. But yeah, the fact that in the anthem, and people talk about like the anthem and how passionate Italians are about the anthem, but I think that should inspire Italians to unite. In my case, I'd say with football. So even rival teams supporting each other. I talk about like supporting each other at club team level, even when they play, even though they're rival teams, when they play in Europe or whatever, or internationally. So like if AC Milan plays in a World Club Cup, I think Inter fans should still support them, and vice versa. Even though they're rivals, they can still dislike or even hate each other in the league if they must. But I think when they play non-Italian teams, they should get behind each other because they represent Italy. But that's my personal opinion, as someone who is very passionate about Italian football, as you can probably tell. Also, again, I'm trying to focus on today's game, as it's past midnight. And the kickoff, for those who don't know already, is 7:45. I imagine most people listening to this video will probably know the kickoff is at 7:45, or those watching in the future will know it was at 7:45, or whatever. But I think of my imaginations, like I'd love to see Italy win 2 or 3 World Cups, even preferably, or even 4, perhaps in a row. I think that would be amazing. If Italy won the most World Cups, let's say Italy did win 3 in a row somehow by some miracle, and then went ahead of Brazil by 1 or 2, and then we went out without qualifying, it wouldn't really bother me that much because I look at the overall tally. So my main dream is in football at least, is for Italy to win the most World Cups to overtake Brazil. But if Italy were quite like 2 or 3 World Cups ahead of the next best, then it wouldn't really bother me if we went out in the first round. I don't think, maybe it would, I don't know at the time. But also I talk about neurodivergent people and how I love for neurodivergent people. Like I love for neurodivergent billionaires network to make lots of money, and even a trillionaires network maybe in the future to raise loads of money for Italian football as well. So number 18. Again, I'm trying to focus on the game hand and the national team. Therefore, but yeah, supporting each other's rival clubs and seeing with great power comes great responsibility. So if Italian football could raise loads of money, I dream that we would give loads away. Again, I say we as a supporter would give loads away to good causes all around the world. And hopefully Italians can promote peace through football, along with Celtic supporters. Number 19, I would say there's probably going to be times in the game where Bosnia are going to be in control or have opportunities, and I guess we're going to defend as much as possible. The goalkeeper will make great saves if necessary. But I hope we keep the ball as much as possible, keep the ball more, and again, try not to give the ball away. I remember the old German teams, or probably even German teams now, and Spanish teams, and French teams at times, Argentina, Brazil, teams like that. Even previous Italian teams, I'm sure, were really good at passing and keeping the ball, and I think that's one thing we are going to need to do if we're going to go far in this tournament, if we're going to make it, and if we're going to go further, if and when we do make it. As I say, I don't like to be complacent. I talked about in part 1 how Antonio, or Anto for short, on Italian football TV talked about like we're going to win and all that. And when Italian fans and Celtic sports say that, I get a bit nervous. I'm like, let's not be complacent. But I guess the main people will probably be the players. I can imagine more than likely, and how they play, I think, is the most important. Obviously, on the night, they're going to be the ones doing the work. But I just hope they'll have the game of their lives so far and continue to improve. And if we do get to World Cup, we'll continue to improve and have even better games, of course. But for now, I hope they'll have like as good a game as possible, of course, and hope all 11 of them are really up for it and really give it all they've got. Now we're playing away in. And I say we in speech once. I was a fan of Italian football for some reason. I say bad. A city habit or whatever, but yeah, we're playing in a hostile environment in Bosnia, but I think if Italy scores a goal or even scores a couple of goals or plays really well, puts a lot of pressure on them and all that kind of thing. I talked about this in the European final in 2021, about 5 years ago, when Italy played England, and I said if Italy scores a goal, it could put a lot of pressure on. If Italy scores a goal, as it was at Wembley, it could make the crowd go a bit silent and that kind of thing. So when you're playing away from home, sometimes that can mean less pressure. At the moment, it hasn't really worked like that for Italy, but I think it'd be good if the players could see like less pressure because you're playing in their ground. But if the Italian players push Bosnia to make mistakes, then their players their fans as well as their players might get a bit nervous, and that might feed onto the fans. And then if Italy scores a goal or even 2, or hopefully even 3 goals, hopefully that can make the fans really like, if not turn against their own team. I don't think they should, but it would be good for us. It would be good for us if they do. But it could mean that it could mean that they could turn against their own players, and or at least they'll build that nervous energy in their camp, if you like, in their team and in their squad. So hopefully that will give Italy the opportunity, even more opportunities. And finally, number 20. I talked about in point number 10 in part 1 about how I'd love to see more younger players in Italy, and certainly for friendlies, and also even for the Olympics, and even like certainly the Nations Cup, and even like the European Cup and competitions like that. I'd love to see more younger players being given opportunities. In fact, basically all non-World Cup games, I'd love to see more younger players being given opportunities. But at the same time, I guess in the World Cup, it'd be good to have a balance of older and younger players. But yeah, in all the other games, I'd love to see more younger players being given opportunities. And I think even Serie A, the Italian league, and Italian football generally, I think should try and give more younger players more opportunities, just like they did in Spain, and that helped them improve their football vastly. I'm sure. I'm sure that was a contributory factor to why they did so well, why they've done so well, and they've produced so many great young players. And I think there should be tax cuts for Italian teams. I'd love to see them pay as lowest amount of tax as possible. And maybe part of that condition could be they play at least 3 under 21 players in all senior games. So that means more younger players, especially Italian ones, are developed. But as ever, I'd love to know whether you agree with me or disagree with me. And I'm out.